So as you can see, I've done quite a bit on the body part of the crossbody bag. So I'm going to just read out what I did. I did increase it because it seemed a little narrow, and in the pictures it kind of looked like the body just went a little bit out and then in at the bottom. So I had to unravel it just a little. So I had to frog it up to here, pretty much up to the beginning. And then I did, let's see, trying to see what I did here. Where is it? Slip stitch, 39 stitches, round one row. Okay, okay, so then I did the 38 stitches for 3 rows, and then I went ahead and I increased. I didn't want to increase here because then it wouldn't look, I don't know, I just don't think it would look as good. I just wanted this to be more straight looking than looking like it was increased on this stitch. And I thought that it would be easier to sew the zipper on if it was a little straighter. So I pretty much did 1 single crochet, and then I went 5 increase, and then I repeated this 6 times, and then the last stitch would be a 1 single crochet. And then I did 44 single crochets for 4 rows. So I increased, I did it for 4 rows without increasing, and then I increased 1 more time. So it's the same for this row, actually round, I shouldn't say row anymore. It's the same as this round. I'm gonna number these on my website, and hopefully it's clear because I feel like this is a little bit all over the place, especially this video. But for this round, I did 1 single crochet for the beginning and the end, and then in the middle is where I increased. So I did 6 single crochets, increase, and then I repeated that 6 times. And then I ended up with a total of 50 because I just added 6 stitches in each of these increases. So then right now I'm on the 50 single crochet round, and then so far I've only done, let's see, how many rows have I done? Sometimes it's hard to tell. I think I've only done 2. Yeah, so I've only done 2 so far. So I'm planning on using this zipper, and I'm probably going to use the entire thing. It's not too long, but I could always add some stitches at the bottom, like some part of the bag at the bottom that doesn't have the zipper. So it could have just like an extra space at the bottom, just so it could hold just a little bit more. And you'll see what I mean when I attach this. So it's going to be like this, and then it's going to just have some extra space just at the bottom of it. And then the legs go at the bottom as well. So I also have to work on the arms. So the arms go on this side, and they're kind of thin because when I was looking at the picture, they're kind of thin and floppy, so they don't really stick out as much. So I'm going to have to try to figure out how to do that. I might just try to attach it here so it flops down this way instead of just sticks out, because I feel like it's cuter when it flops down this way. But we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I'm just going to work on these stitches for now and figure out how where I'm going to decrease based on how long this zipper is. And then I will be back. It is time to actually sew the zipper on. So here I have the 50 stitches all the way to the end of the row. And let's see, let's count how many rows that is actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So there's 17 rows. If you want to see how I counted that, you can see that it's kind of separated this way. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then this one's just 1 row out of these 2, so it's 17. 17 rows. And then this time I am going to sew the zipper and then start decreasing. But before that, actually, I want to do the arms that go on the sides. And I also want to work on the legs so I can sew it right after I decrease this the body. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm gonna use this to sew it together because this is pretty thick and I feel like the thin thread isn't going to secure it as well. So I'm gonna take this off. And then I'm gonna try to sew this on. I know I was gonna say I'm gonna do the arms first, but I could always attach the arms later and just open this up when I wanna hide the ends. So it's still gonna be open. So I'm going to sew this zipper. So it should be a little bit snug up here. I don't have to double this up because it's pretty thick already. Here, I'll actually take this off so I can, let's see, how long do I want it? All right, I'm gonna have this long. So the needle I'm using is from Tulip and it has a tip that's a little sharper so that it can go through this, but it's not too sharp that it's like really hard to hold. So I like the bigger ones because it's really hard to grip the little ones. So I like this, and it's metal. I can't use the other darning needle because the tip isn't thick enough to go through this, and I mean it could probably go through, but it would just be a lot more effort. So I'm gonna use my thimble. Well, it's not really the traditional thimble. Like, I can never use these. It's hard for me to grip, but I'm guessing it's just for, I don't know, I've never really, I guess this way, or to protect your other fingers, but I can't really put it here. It's just hard to grip everything. So then I'm just gonna use this. It's from Clover, if you guys are interested in what I am using. All right, so I'm gonna start at the top. It's always hard to kind of maneuver this around filming because when I sew and do other things, it's really not this way. Okay, let's see, how am I gonna go about doing this? I don't wanna open the zipper because then it's just not going to be, it's not gonna go on correctly. So if I want it to be this way, all right, I'm just gonna start. Okay. Yeah, it's always hard to start when you're just at the beginning of sewing the zipper because everything's loose. And I have to kind of just try to secure it first, and then the rest of the zipper will be way easier to sew. So right now, it's a bit of a struggle. But let's see, underneath. I'm gonna try to make a knot, which I usually make a knot so that it's easier for it to be sewn together. So I'm gonna make this knot. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna double knot it. I'm gonna try to see if it's secure. I don't even know if you guys can see that because it keeps bending over. Okay, that's just, hold on. That's not what I wanted to do. It's very tricky when it's like not cooperating. All right, so I want to do one knot and then the second one. I will try to secure it a lot better afterwards when I get back up to the top. So I'm gonna tuck back that back in, then make sure the zipper is out. And then let's see, I'll make sure this loose end is inside and not sticking out. And then I try to do some sort of like back stitch way to attach this. But it is, like I said, a little bit more difficult when you're at the beginning still. But now that it's secure, hold on. Oh, all right, hold on. It was from underneath. Now I gotta take that out. Okay. Let's do this again, because I accidentally went through the top and not from underneath. Okay. Let's try to go through here. Okay. You kind of want to, as best you can, stay a little bit closer to the middle, only because when you start filling the bag, it's just gonna keep going this way, and the gap between the bag and the zipper, this part of the zipper is gonna be too big, I think. So it's probably better to be a little bit closer, but you also don't want it to be too close, because then it's just gonna keep getting stuck. So you don't want that happening. So it's a balance. So as you can see here, I'm doing back stitch. I believe that's what it's called, and if it's wrong, I'll probably correct it somewhere up here or down there. Okay. I was debating whether I should glue this together or not, because I feel like that, well, that definitely would have been easier, but I'm not sure if it would have been more secure. I don't know. Maybe in the next bag, I'll try to use the fabric glue. I'm not sure how that would work with yarn. So I have a question for you guys while I'm sewing this. I have been hearing about this Labubu craze that's going on. I don't know if you guys are interested in that at all. I kind of got interested in buying one of them. I know some people have an obsession with them, and some people have bought so many of them, and I have gotten into in the past like a collection of Pop Funko figures. So this is kind of dangerous for me to be like looking up these videos, and some of these characters are just really cute. Yeah, so what do you guys think about that? Are you guys interested in buying them? Do you guys own them? I actually did purchase one from eBay, and I'm thinking that I think it's real. I don't know. You never really know until you get it. But it seems like it's real. There are accurate pictures, and I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, what do you guys think about that craze? It's just insane that Pop Mart has a lot of these figures, blind boxes, which is really popular nowadays. And I think it's always been popular, that people love to be surprised and they love to collect everything. And it's just, I think it's just gotten out of hand because it's just feeding everybody's, shopping addiction. And some of these Pop Mart figures are like over $100. I mean, I shouldn't be that surprised, because I did pay
to get the Avengers set. I don't know. I probably just post a picture at some point on my TikTok about it. But yeah, I did pay for the Avengers set. It was the original characters, and it was just them standing around the middle part. It all connects. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it probably has a name, the whole set, because I know they have the shawarma set. I wanted to get that because they also connected together. I like the ones that are together and they go together well, but this one I seriously don't remember the name of it. Yeah, I will post a picture somewhere to show you guys. And I have the link to my TikTok down, not link, but my TikTok username down below. So if you guys want to follow my videos there, I do post different videos there. So if you guys would like to see, please follow me there. Okay, so for this part, I have sewn the zipper all the way down to the bottom, as you can see. All the way to the top, I did weave in the ends all the way up to the middle, as you can see, and then I went all the way up to the middle, and then I tied the ends together. So now I'm gonna attempt to glue this onto the yarn. I'm using this shear bonder. Do this. Let's see. Hopefully I am not going to cause a big giant mess. Let's see. Where am I putting this? Oh wait, it's not. Okay. I would do it to the other side, but I think the other side might be secure. I don't know. It's kind of hard to show this on camera because of how it is. So I'm gonna try to, there. That's what I'm trying to glue down. Ah. And if it comes out, I could always reinforce it later, but I think at the top I might just reinforce it a little bit more with some yarn. But that's pretty much what it is looking like. But see how there's a gap there? I'm definitely gonna have to put some yarn there just to cover this gap right here, because when I pull, it does open. And then so at the bottom, I might have to do the same thing with the glue. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that, but see how it opens and closes that way? But I think now I want to work on the arms before I close this up down here, just so there's just a little bit more access to the loose ends when I want to tie them up on the inside. Now that the zipper is done, I don't know if the last clip had showed me opening this. So it can open and close. And this part right here definitely needs a zipper. Like not pull, but like, you know, the thing that you can hold so that when you pull this, you don't have to hold the entire bag to open it. So I need to work on that. But I also started working on the arm. That's gonna go right here. So the flat part is gonna wrap around the side and just go that way. So the body's gonna be a little bit longer, so I made the arm this long, kind of like almost as long as the head. So that's how it's gonna be. I'm gonna go ahead and show you, probably gonna time lapse how I did that. And then I'm gonna put, you know, the pattern somewhere down below here. Okay, so with this yarn, I'm always gonna start with 8 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So after that, I'm just going to increase 8 times, and then I'm going to end up with 16 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so that's 16 stitches right there. And so this is what I'm gonna do, 16 stitches for 10 rows. So my kids are off school right now, so that's why you can hear them. And that's why I'm gonna go silent right now. They're on their spring break. So anyway, let me do this. Okay, so I went ahead and made the legs. So before I made the two arms, and for the arms, I did a decrease, but for the legs, since the legs are supposed to be bigger, I didn't do a decrease, but I did the same number of rows. So this actually has 16 stitches instead of the 14 here. And then I went ahead and stuffed the legs. The legs, I didn't mind if I stuffed just a little bit more because it just dangles at the bottom. So this one is going to be finished in the same way. I'm going to do a chain 1, and then I'm going to crochet these 2 layers together. So there's going to be 8 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm just going to finish that off. I want to make sure I leave enough yarn so that I can sew this onto the body. So this one is going to be sewn after I finish the bottom part of the bag. And then for this part, for this leg, I'm going to do the same thing. Put this aside and sew it on when the body is done. So now we're going to do, let's see, the arms. Trying to think which one's bigger. Okay, these are the legs. These are the arms. Probably should have put them aside on different spots because I was getting confused about which one because they look the same. Okay. So I'm going to do a whip stitch to sew this on like usually, or like I usually do for sewing on limbs. So let me open this up so it's easier to access that portion. Okay, so let me actually raise the camera so it's not so low. Okay, hopefully that's better. Okay, so for the arm, it's gonna be like this, but I wanted to wrap around like that over the side because I don't want to attach it like this. I don't want it to be like that because then it's not gonna dangle down. It's just gonna be like flopping around like this. I want it to be like this. So let's start. Let's see, let's do it this way because it's easier, and then well, right-handed sewing, not left-handed writing. Okay, so let me hold this upside down so it's easier to do this. It's always hard to sew when I'm filming. Okay, all right, so if I'm doing it like that, then let me just flip it around. Okay, I just want to make sure that the middle of this lines up with the edge of the face where I sewed, or I crocheted both layers together. So I just want to make sure that this is as close to the face as possible and where the body starts. So you see this right here. I'm going to get this, pick it up, and sew that together. Okay. And I just want to reinforce it. Whoops. It's always hard when the fabric or the work that you're doing is thick because, and this is when you really need something like this to protect your hand, because it's very hard to sew these together sometimes without having to apply so much pressure. And that's pretty much what happened to my hand before. There was so much pressure applied here while I was sewing, and it was not great. So trying to maneuver this as much as possible, like bend it a little bit just so I don't mess up my hand again. Because it took, I mean, it said online 2 to 3 days, but really is up to like 4 days, 5 days maybe. It really depends on how much damage was done. So it's better to be cautious than to just, you know, keep going and not be careful, which I wasn't being careful. So there's a tip for you. If you guys don't have something like this to protect your hand, you probably should if you're doing projects like this. But if you're doing just like regular projects that don't require sewing this, like this type of sewing, then you don't really need to. But like going into tight spaces and like the thickness of this stuff is just not great for my hand. So it's best to protect my hand so that I can keep making what I love to make. All right, so this is what I wanted. Trying to see if it's too, it's fairly equal. It might be slightly a little bit more towards the back than the front, but I think I'm okay with that because it was already hard enough to sew that front part that I'm keeping it, and I think I'm good with that. I'm trying to get it sewn to part of the face here, or the back of the head, only because if I do it lower, I think that would be too low. So I'm gonna do it like that instead, just so it's secured higher and not lower. I just feel like if I do it lower, it will look like it's not really attached correctly. So right now as I'm sewing, I can kind of still feel there's a little bit of like a knot there, like some sort of bruising. So I really need to use this until it fully heals. And I also really needed to get a video out. So I need to do a as much as I can to protect my hand while I'm doing this. Okay. All right, so stuff like this, I would probably just hide in the body because it's easier that way. And then later on, I'm going to knot it off with the loose end from the second arm that I'm going to sew on. Okay, so yeah, I like this. So it's going to be like this. The arm's just going to be kind of dangling like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach the other arm off camera just because it's just easier to do it that way. And I will be back. Okay, so at this point, I've sewn on both arms, and one of them seems a little higher than the other one, but I'm all right with that. Okay, so after I sewed this arm on, I weaved the end into the body next to the other loose end, so I'm just going to tie that together. All right, now it's just gonna cut this off. And then I'm gonna close this up for now. We'll deal with the pole later because I want to put something here so it's easier for this to open because I don't want to keep on doing this to open and it's just more difficult. So I got to put something in the back, which would make it easier to do it. Do one more row just so I'll be on the outside, because if I don't, then I'm just going to keep crocheting on the wrong side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's see. So I'm going to need one more row. What did I say before? Was it 17? So whatever I said before, one more row. Just so it's going to be on the outside and not crocheting on the inside. And I think I want to do is sew this on the inside. Okay. This side too, because it's sticking out on the outside. Let me just put these on the inside so it's easier for me to crochet that part. There. All right, so pretty much what I want to do is so since I ended here, probably should have done one less row, but since we're here and it's already been sewed on, we're gonna do one more row. All right. So it's gonna be a chain one and then a turn. That's 38. And for this one, we want to, let's see, what do I want to do? Do I want to join or do I want to, I think I'm going to do a chain 1 because of this gap, and I don't want it to close it like this. I feel like it would look better if there's a chain 1. So I'm going to do a chain 1, and then instead of 38 stitches now, when we go all the way around, we're going to end up with 39. Here I added a marker, and we're gonna start the next round, which is, I believe, let me check my notes, round 15. So round 15, we're gonna do 8 single crochets and a decrease, and we're gonna repeat that 3 times. And after that, we're gonna do 9 single crochets. So here we're going to have to kind of use this yarn to sew this gap closed, or like pretty much block this part because there's a hole right here. So that's gonna need to be sewn closed. And then here we still have to put like a tab, and I just have to try to figure out whether, because I don't have enough yarn to make this the straps of the bag, so I'm gonna have to use a different yarn. It might have to be, I'm not sure, I might make it acrylic. I might use Red Heart or Big Twist, I'm not sure. Something that's sturdy enough so that if I keep holding it with my hand, it's not gonna get worn. And I feel like this might get a little bit worn if I keep doing that. So we'll see. I'm gonna try to figure that out. And yeah, and I feel like I should attach, let's see. I gotta look to see how the bag is constructed and see if I have to attach the strap here or here. So now you can see the body kind of getting a little bit smaller. I did one decrease, and I think this is a good height, and I might want to make it this long because I put it across my body and it almost seems kind of too long if I make it too long, and then it's kind of just like consuming me. So I got to figure out how long I want this to be. And I think that this is a good height for the bag. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm going to keep working on this, and yeah, we'll see how we end up. So here I'm going to sew this gap closed. And I'm using that extra yarn that I had to cut off from the beginning.
Please stay tuned for part 3. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.